Hi everyone, welcome back to Blue Mango Frosting. My name is Aggie and I've just finished my degree at the University of Cambridge. I studied engineering and I went to Jesus College. This video is kind of my degree reflections, a bit more of a casual chit chat video where I talk about different aspects of my degree. I've got some topics in this bucket, I've got 6 of them in total. I'll just pick them out one at a time and talk about the different aspects. And of course I have my Cambridge mug with me filled with warm water because that's my drink, and it's got all the college crests on it, including Jesus College, which is the best college hands down. Let's get into it. My thoughts on the engineering degree at Cambridge: it's really different from other unis where we do 2 years of general engineering before you specialise in 3rd year. When I applied for UCAS, not every university has this general course, so for universities that didn't offer this, I applied for electrical and electronic engineering, and on hindsight that was such a mistake. I did not enjoy the electrical part of the course at all. Sorry to people who study EEE engineering. I think it's a great field, but it just wasn't for me, and it took going through the first 2 years of Cambridge to understand that. And Cambridge gives you that opportunity to do that. It's a risk-free way of trying different fields before you truly decide on the one you're passionate about. For someone to have gone through A level without having done engineering at all and just jumping straight into university specialisation, like, that is just scary to me in hindsight. You know, I did the whole first 2 years of engineering. It was quite tough compared to my friends at other unis because you do have a greater workload when you're doing all the fields instead of specialising in, say, 1 or 2. Mechanical, structural, materials to, you know, information, signals, and some electives. I did something like bioengineering. The workload was insane. It was very stressful, but through that allowed me to kind of eliminate the fields that I didn't want to work in. Electrical, for example, that I would have ended up in if I had gone to another uni like Imperial. If I hadn't had that general aspect of the course, I wouldn't have specialised in manufacturing engineering, and then in turn I wouldn't have found my dream career to work in operations. All those decisions came from having that flexibility of the engineering degree at Cambridge, and I'm so grateful that they do it. I think more unis should do it. I think everyone should do it. Just why specialise so soon? I think it's great. Right. At Cambridge, or just I think at uni in general, if you are an international student, if you are from another country, you have a totally different experience from people who live in that same country as the uni. I fly twice a year, fly all the way from Hong Kong to London, then I take the train or the coach to Cambridge. So it's a long stretch without family, without that kind of support system you're used to back home. There is a big international student community. There are different societies you can join where you can interact with people from your home country, or in my case, home city. Sometimes it is quite isolating, I want to say, especially when, you know, people use terminology that you're not used to, like cheeky Nando's. Like, that was something I just picked up in my first year. I was like, why is it cheeky? And they were just like, it's just cheeky, it's cheeky Nando's. There's a thin barrier between your culture and the whole UK university culture. But I have to say, people are very welcoming. Everyone I've met has been either really interested to learn about Hong Kong, learn about Asian culture, and in general it's just good fun exchanging that. And I like how Cambridge is such a global uni where there are people from different places, so it's just a great way to socialise and to meet people, and I like that aspect about it. College were quite accommodating with accommodation. They were quite accommodating with accommodation. If I had to stay over the Easter holiday, they tried to give me my room, the same room that I was staying in, so I wouldn't have to move. And yeah, people just were in general quite nice within the university sphere. But outside of that bubble, you have Cambridge as a town. And for me, it was a bit of a weird experience because there were, you know, incidents where I'd feel like I didn't belong. On the streets, when you're walking back from like orchestra practice or cycling back, and like a white dude just yells at you, "Konnichiwa," on the street, that's, I think, quite racist. Or like when you're walking down the street and like there's an old white couple, and they just kind of cross the street to avoid you and then cross back to the side of the street you were on. I think that's quite rude. There is racism in the UK. You know, what we call model minorities, it's more subtle. It's a very passive-aggressive kind of racism. I would like to say I haven't experienced it and then life was just wonderful, but that's not the case, and I have had some incidents happen. You know, it's nothing to do with the uni, it's just the world as a place. When you choose to study at a university in another country, there will definitely be culture clashes, there will definitely be ignorance and people who just don't understand. And to be honest, that is something I have dealt with and will probably continue to deal with when I go to, you know, different countries where large parts of the population have never been outside their continent, where they don't understand other cultures, and that's just a fact of life. So I'm very lucky to come from Hong Kong, which is a great place. I love Hong Kong. It's a great city. Yeah, it's an eye-opening experience, and for me it's just about learning different cultures, and also trying to teach as many people about my culture as possible. Right, moving on to the next topic. ECAs. In first year, people tell you to try different things and just drop them and do new things in second year. But actually the things I tried in first year ended up being stuff that I did pretty much every year of my degree. So in first year, I joined Jesus Singers, which is my college's vocal group. There was also orchestra, so I auditioned as a percussionist for the Cambridge University Musical Society. I got put into the wind orchestra, which was quite fun. It's an orchestra, but no strings attached. That was supposed to be punny. I don't know. I don't know if that pun worked. That was really fun. I met a great band of friends. I formed a lifelong percussion family group. That was really good. So the music people kind of formed a bulk of my social circle from then on. That was first year. In second year, I kind of branched out a little bit and decided to do some freelance photography. I had always been interested in photography, and I decided for me this was a good way to practice that client relationships. Finding clients, taking pictures of them, sending it back, and just in general managing kind of my own business. Yeah, it's a good way to just be creative and do what I liked with photography, and also meeting different people. And it was a good way to earn some cash, which is very important when you're a student. In second year, I also upgraded in Jesus Singers to become the musical director. In third year, I actually became the president for Jesus Singers, so that was good. In addition to the relaxing, fun singing every week, I was doing some of the more management stuff, planning concerts, doing recruitment, managing a Facebook page, which is really good practice for, I guess, the other societies that I became involved in. In second and third year, I also joined touch rugby, which is rugby but without the tackling. I tried joining contact rugby. I took one look at the girls in the UK, which are, you know, larger sized than Asian me, and I was just like, nope, I want to try something else. So I tried touch rugby, and it was quite fun. It wasn't very compatible with the MET degree because the competitions would be outside of Cambridge. More often than not, I was always busy, so I ended up not doing many of those competitions. So I dropped touch rugby by fourth year. In fourth year, I also joined dance sport as a beginner, complete beginner, because look at me, I'm a very physically awkward person, and I just don't. And I joined really to just spend more time with my sister, who's also at Cambridge, and we ended up being partners, which was interesting. There were some arguments involved, But I think on a whole it improved our relationship, and also just, you know, it was my last year of uni, I wasn't going to be with my sister anymore, and it was just a good way to bond. We ended up going to Blackpool. It's this huge ballroom, and it was just such an honour being able to dance and compete for the university there. Yeah. I'm a very physically awkward person, and I just don't really know what to do with my body, and for me this was such a big out of my comfort zone thing that I tried, and I'm really glad I did it, because I feel like, you know, just doing 1 year of beginner dance sport makes me sit up straighter. I don't know if that's like a thing, but I'm more aware of my posture now. So yeah, that was a good experience as a whole. I do regret one thing. I did not try rowing at all in my degree. Everyone's like so big on rowing in Cambridge. Everyone rows or has rowed or knows someone who rows or knows someone who brags about rowing and having to wake up in the morning. I still don't get that. I was going to try it in Easter term, but then COVID-19 happened and I didn't actually get on the boat, which was a shame. But I'm sure, you know, at some point in the future I'll go back to visit Cambridge, and then maybe someone can invite me to sit on a boat and just hold the oar and pretend that I have rowed. If you're at Cambridge, please try rowing, just once. I wasn't going to do it long term, I just wanted to be on a boat because it's cool. I have punted a lot, which is really cool, just going down a river cam on a little punt with a stick. And it's actually really heavy. I really admire the people who do those. Yeah, that was my ECAs, and I think there's something for everyone at the Freshers' Fair. You just need to go and sign up to a bunch of things and try different things. It's great. Right, so moving on to the next topic. Cambridge quirks. I interpret this to mean, you know, the formals and the traditions and everything at Cambridge that is unique to Cambridge. The first thing I think is a Cambridge quirk is calling supervisions. And I think at other unis they're called something like tutorials or tutor sessions or stuff like that. That's boring. Cambridge wants to be different. We call them supervisions. Keep that in mind. And the people who supervise you doing those supervisions are supervisors. It's a quite unique system of teaching where you have those large group lectures at department, and then you have those small group supervisions, so typically 2 or 3 students to 1 supervisor, and just having that chance to express yourself and ask questions that you wouldn't normally do in a big lecture hall. It's also quite intimidating because if you turn up to supervision having done less work than your supo partner, it's like, you know, you look a bit more lazy even though you tried really, really hard. So me and my supervision partner for first and second year anyway, we used to just message each other on Facebook and be like, how much are you doing? How much do you want to go through? And just make sure we were on the same page before walking into that supervision and making the most of it, and just making sure we used those sessions to understand the material and in general improve as an engineer. The second Cambridge quirk I want to talk about is the gowns. They're like, you know in Harry Potter where they have the cloaks? I'm sure J.K. Rowling took some inspiration from that. You wear your gown not just to, you know, the formal events like matriculation and graduation and stuff, but you also wear it to formals. Formals are a tradition at Cambridge. They are typically 3 or 4 course meals. They're held in the college halls. It's just a really good way to get a good quality dinner without having to spend lots and lots of money at, you know, a fancy restaurant. Typically a formal would cost about £10 at your own college. Just a great way to get a 3-course meal with your friends and just be fancy without actually paying fancy. I really enjoyed formals. I think they were really good. I didn't manage to go to all of the colleges. Some people make it a challenge to go to all like 31, is it 31 or 30 colleges for formals. I think I managed about half of them. This is probably specific to Jesus College. At Jesus College at the end of the formal we clap. I don't know, does that happen at other colleges? I don't know, I just find it really really cool. You just clap at the end of a meal. It's just a kind of quirky thing and I like it, it's cool. Another Cambridge quirk is the bikes. bikes are such a common thing. They're so integrated into the life at Cambridge. You know, you cycle to everything, you cycle to college, you cycle to orchestra practice, you cycle to lectures, you cycle to meet your friends at other colleges. Biking is such a good way of getting around. I don't know why more cities don't do this. I wish Hong Kong had more urban bike paths because, yeah, it's just a convenient way to get around. It's less tiring than going on foot, and it's also better exercise than, say, taking the bus or the train. Another thing I really like about Cambridge is that juxtaposition between, you know, nature and human construction. On my way to department, I cycle past cows and geese that are just like eating grass and like having a swim in the River Cam, and I just think that is so cool. If I went to university in like London, I wouldn't have any of that, which is really cool. I'm just geeking out about Cambridge now. Whew, so hot, sweaty. Okay. The next topic is Jesus College, aka the best college in Cambridge, and there are several reasons why. Jesus is one of the bigger colleges. It's known for being, you know, just big, welcoming, friendly, but also not too big that it's like that kind of like snobby atmosphere. We all know which college I'm talking about. Yeah, it's just very understated, very modest, but also just huge and welcoming. Recently, Jesus College has also skyrocketed on YouTube because of the many study tubers at Jesus, including myself, although my channel isn't that big. But it's really great. Like, it's getting more recognition for that, not just the academic achievement side of things, but just the general friendliness and the general atmosphere, which I really like. Jesus is also the third richest college in Cambridge, which nobody talks about, but I think actually makes quite a big difference to your undergraduate studies. When you apply, when you go to open day and stuff like that, Cambridge tries to tell you, oh yeah, it doesn't matter which college you go to, they're all the same, you get a same experience. I think you get a meaningful experience no matter which college you go to, but definitely wealth of your college does matter because it just means cleaner rooms, better housekeeping, yeah, better food, better subsidies for your studies, better tutorial support, pastoral care, stuff like that. As an international student, you just need more support from college because it is literally your home. It is literally your home. You sleep there, you eat there, you have supervisions there, you have your friends there, and literally your room in college is your home. In Jesus, I lived in North Court, which is the most modern part of college, the newest block buildings, and for me it was the closest to what I could find in Hong Kong, where it's, you know, more concrete and metal as opposed to like old wood and stone that you find in other parts of the UK. So for me it was such a big factor in feeling like this was my home away from home. Another big reason why I think Jesus is great is because I love nature. I like animals, I like being in nature, just breathing the fresh air. And Jesus has its own nature trail. It also has a wildlife pond that a moorhen laid her eggs in. That is so cool. Like, how cool is that? You can walk out of your room for 2 minutes, you reach the wildlife pond and you see a nest of eggs. That's just so cool. Owls in our college. I can hear them at night. I've never seen one, but somebody posted a picture on Facebook that I will put somewhere on the screen. We also have foxes. The fox I have taken pictures of and may or may not have secretly fed the fox at one point. Having that nature around you while you're doing a very stressful degree is great. Yeah, it's great. Jesus College is also where I found my main activity throughout the duration of my degree, which was Jesus Singers. Jesus Singers was a really big part of my degree. I was in it for all 4 years that I was at Cambridge, and I went on to become musical director and even president of the group. It was just having that activity that anchors you and tethers you to some sort of sane reality while everything is going to hell. It's just so important. It's important to have something that feels familiar, something that is routine, something you know will always be there. And for me, Jesus College provided a lot of those opportunities / activities. I think subjectively speaking and also objectively speaking, Jesus College is the best college. If you want to apply to Jesus, I say good luck. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below and I will try to answer them. Right, so we're on to the last topic of today, which is mental health. Most of us recognise that being at Cambridge itself is more stressful than your typical uni experience. That's because you had to go through so many hurdles just to get into Cambridge. And once you're in Cambridge, it doesn't get any easier. Because if you think about it, you're taking the top 2%, around the world to go to those top unis. Once you're in those top unis, you compete against other top people. So if you used to be top in your school, you're no longer top at the uni. You're just average, or in my case, below average academically. And that was something really difficult that I had to come to terms with. I went to a very, very tiny secondary school with 48 people in my year. I'm not trying to humble brag, but in secondary school I topped everything. I was top of my class for physics, for maths, for English, for whatever. And just going to Cambridge was like, wow, I am not a big deal at all. I am nothing. I know nothing. And just internalizing that and coming to terms with it was really difficult, and definitely I struggled in first and second year just to accept that. I think my mental health problems at Cambridge have probably been compounded by me being an international student. Firstly, was just moving to another country and having to settle into the customs that are completely alien to me because I've never lived in the UK before. The pace of life was different. It was a bit, I don't know, it's just different. Like, shops close at 5. They would never close at 5 p.m. in Hong Kong. They always close at like 11. It was that culture clash I had to deal with, along with the stress of my Cambridge degree. I think mental health in Cambridge is a very serious issue, but the good thing is people do talk about it. People are encouraged to be open about their feelings, to talk to people, to use services like Nightline where you can just chat to a volunteer, and I have definitely used those services before, so thank you for people who volunteer with these things. It really, really helps. It's important to talk about your feelings and feel valid for whatever thoughts are going through your mind. It's not an easy degree at all. There are easier uni degrees to do, and I think I applaud everyone who has that courage to just become an intellectual being and to push on and to really, really, for your academic passion, work so hard to get into Cambridge, and also work very hard at Cambridge. I want to briefly talk about the results culture at Cambridge, especially with particular reference to the engineering degree. For me, my trajectory throughout the years was quite unstable. So I got a 2-2 in first year, a 3rd in second year, a 2-1 in third year, and a distinction in 4th year. I've gone through the whole spectrum of grades, and I don't think my work ethic changed for any of it. I always work hard, I always try my best to do the questions, to figure out the material, to understand stuff. I think in first and second year, when I didn't do so well in terms of grades, the style of teaching wasn't that suitable for me. It didn't click with me, I didn't click with it, and I didn't end up understanding, some of the stuff. But in 3rd and 4th year, where I truly found my passion, truly found my specialisation in engineering, that allowed me to just be more open with stuff and to really understand, and also do extension reading that I didn't do in 1st and 2nd year, because in 1st and 2nd year I was so busy trying to just understand the basic stuff and kept grinding at it. But sometimes it's just impossible. Like, how can you do extension reading without understanding the basics first? You just never have time to understand the basics, so you just keep working on it, and then by exam time you're just so stressed that you can't do any extension reading. One thing I don't like about the engineering degree, I know that some other Cambridge degrees do the same thing, is that they bell curve everyone. So if you draw a kind of normal distribution, there is a certain percentage of people who will get first, the next, say like 40% or 50% will get a 2-1, and then the next however percent get a 2-2, and then the bottom 5% will get a third. Because of the way they bell curve it, no matter how hard you try, there will always be someone in the bottom ranks, or there will always be someone in the top ranks. You know, that kind of culture really destroyed me inside, because I always felt like I wasn't good enough. When I got a third, it was like, you know, I have failed at Cambridge, I don't belong here. And it was that kind of imposter syndrome. I always had to do better, but it wasn't just about doing better myself. It was about being better than other people, and I think that kind of competition really destroys relationships at Cambridge. And I think it's something the university might want to address with its student population. Luckily, in MET, in my master's degree, there wasn't that bell curve. We were just graded on a kind of absolute scale, where it wasn't a fixed percentage of people getting first or second or things like that. And for me, in terms of mental health, that allowed me to just relax and just enjoy my degree. In fourth year, I felt like I was learning for the sake of learning, because I enjoyed my subject, and it wasn't just about doing exams or doing past papers to do better exams. It wasn't about competing against my fellow students in my cohort anymore. And I found that way I enjoyed my degree a lot more than I did in first and second year. Those were my 6 topics that I wanted to talk about today. Overall, I really enjoyed my Cambridge degree. I think it's a very unique experience, and I really encourage anybody, if you are thinking about Cambridge, please to apply. It's just a great experience, and if you have any questions at all, please feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!